I need to take this off. Let the gloves come off. I'm about to talk about homeschooling and educating the next generation. Beautiful day, beautiful day. Let some people trickle in here. Oh, flip around. We had a great talk yesterday on unschooling. We'll do a recap of that, and we'll talk about classical education. We'll talk about a couple of things going on with classical learner that are very exciting, and how we could best educate our children. So I think we have an exciting show today. I've been working on my structure of the classical learner business, and I've been trying to make more and more systems, which for anyone that's been an entrepreneur, you know the importance of business systems, right? You know, it's one thing to always chase the car, right? Be the dog chasing the car, and like I'm good at that because I'm super creative. But as you start to evolve as a business person, it's very important that you have systems in place so things start to happen more automatically, and that's what I'm working on. I'm working on setting stuff up with Pinterest and writing more articles, so hopefully I could provide a lot of value to you guys that way, and also utilizing my email list, because part of my shadow disappearing has actually been a blessing because it's resulted in more people joining my email list, which I think is a really cool thing. So yesterday we talked about unschooling. We've covered a lot this week. We've covered homeschool getting started, which even veteran homeschoolers really need to review the basics because so many people are missing an important part of what they should be doing with their homeschool, which is record keeping, which is familiarizing themselves with the regulations. So anyone who homeschools, the first thing they should do is go to hslda.org. And by the way, if you guys have any questions about what I'm talking about, any questions specific to your child's homeschool, whatever it might be, feel free to jump in here. I will answer questions directly related to your family, your child, or, you know, whatever else we want to talk about that's going on in the world. So any questions about homeschooling, anything, please jump in, let me know. I'm very interactive. But when you first start homeschooling, everyone is focused on how many and how old kids do you have. I have 2 children. One is going to be 4 in February, and the other is 6 months old. And as I tell everyone, you start homeschooling the day your children are born. Homeschool is life school, so your children should be learning with their everyday activities and how they're interacting with their family. But when you talk about formal homeschooling, a lot of parents, when they start, they're very worried about curriculum, right? Curriculum. That's the first thing we need to worry about. But the truth of the matter is, you want to set up your infrastructure before you even worry about that. So the first thing that new homeschool parents should do, and I know I beat the drums on this, right? I beat it like a dead horse, and I do it for a reason, because I see the way the world changes quickly. Like in 2020, we saw how quick the world could change in terms of people's rights being violated, right? Well, the way you protect yourself in that situation from potential future events is you start with the basics and you master the basics. So when you, thank you, Caitlin, when you start homeschooling, the first thing you should do, and everyone should support this organization. I'm not affiliated with this organization, although they probably should be paying me for how many people I've sent their way. They really should be. If I had a dime every time I plugged the Homeschool Legal Defense Association and sent someone their way, I would have a lot more money. But the truth is, they're a great organization. So, why do these bots show up in here? Get lost. The last couple of days, these bots are showing up. Don't worry. Blocked. Get lost. Get lost. All right, got rid of them. What was I talking about? hslda.org. Right. Oh, yeah. So hslda.org is the Homeschool Legal Defense Association. And for the fight that's to come, and do believe, I don't ever preach despair, because I always believe we're going to win. But understand that in the space we operate, the fight is coming. And that's why I'm so unapologetic about trying to convert public schoolers into homeschoolers, because we are going to need numbers. Yeah, we join them. hslda.org actually has free memberships if you have children under 5. So I strongly recommend everyone, and by the way, if you could smash the like button, that really helps me. But I strongly recommend everyone with children under 5, get your free membership to hslda.org. They're so cool that if with your free membership, and again, I am not affiliated, this is just, I believe in this organization, that if you have a membership with hslda.org and you can get a free membership for children under 5, they will give you a free conversation with one of their lawyers. So you could actually schedule a free consultation with a lawyer and talk to them about setting up a homeschool in your state when your children are of age. And I don't know why everyone wouldn't take advantage of that. I actually spoke with one of their lawyers for a free session, and I wanted to know about homeschool law versus private school law, because I was thinking about setting up little homeschool communities in different states throughout the country, and they were very informative. And what I found out is that in most states, you are required by law, and I'm not a lawyer, check with them, but what they told me is that in most states, you're required by law to do 51% of the homeschooling, which for people with busy schedules, that means if you get involved in like a co-op, right, you really only have to do the instruction 51% of the time. 49% of the time, your children could be at a friend's house, another family that homeschools, their parents could take the children on a Tuesday, right? So you could get a lot of flexibility. And I know one of the concerns parents have with homeschooling is, when will I ever have free time? Well, if you partner up with a few other homeschool families and on Thursday and Friday, your children are at other people's houses, right? Now that gives you a nice break, because Thursday, Friday, your children are out of the house, and then Saturday, Sunday, you're doing weekend things anyway, so it's not as stressful, So they're really, let me just see what you guys were saying, because I like to answer your questions. Yeah, someone joined HSLDA. Again, I'm not affiliated. Hello, are you in California? Thank God I'm not in California, though I only pray that God puts me where I belong, so I don't ask him to be anywhere. We bought all your books for Christmas for my boys. Thank you so much. I really, your support means a lot to me, especially because I'm so attacked these days by these big institutions in terms of limiting my reach. So thank you so much. And please put in the word of mouth marketing, because it's getting tough out there, people, but we make do. How can you successfully homeschool 3 kids when working? So, a little bit of what I talked about right there, right? So, if you have 3 children, by the way, smash the like button. That really helps me reach new people. Again, my accounts are very grabbled, and I guess my message is a threat to the system. And because of that, they make it very hard for me to do certain things. So, smashing the like button could really help, and I appreciate that. So, yeah, if you have 3 children and you're working, first of all, God bless you for homeschooling and working, 3 children, because what a sacrifice that is, what a commitment that is to your children, and the love alone that they're getting will make a big difference in their life. But some of the things you want to do are what I already discussed. So if you have a tight schedule, go on Facebook homeschooling groups and find Facebook co-ops in your area. They're very easy to find. Join mom groups in your area and ask the mom groups if anyone else is homeschooling. Call local museums, the local gym, Bounce You, Altitude, any child type place, and ask them if they host events for homeschool families. They almost always do. Go to those events, network, meet up with parents in your area, say, hey, I homeschool, maybe we could start getting together, and as you build trust, you could actually set something up where they take the children on Thursday, you take the children on Wednesday, whatever it might be. There's also, you don't have to homeschool. One of the common misconceptions is that you have to do school during typical school hours. You could really structure your homeschool however you want. So you can do your formal education, which you really need at most 2 hours a day. I'd say 1 hour a day for young children. But you could do your formal education before work hours. You can do the formal education after work hours. You could do it at nighttime. You could do it over the weekend. So you have a lot of flexibility. And then if there are certain subjects that you're just too overwhelmed, like I feel like I can't get to this subject, you can use a program like Time for Learning, and like don't use all their curriculum, but use just their math curriculum as an example. Like, oh man, I can't teach math. I'm too stressed out. I have the other children. I have work I have to worry about. I just have too much going on. I can't do math. Well, Time for Learning is a child-led learning where they sit down on their tablet, on the computer, and it basically guides them through the mathematics, and they can only advance when they reach a certain level of mastery, so it kind of baby steps them through the mathematical process. So the answer is you have to get creative and find different ways to take stress off yourself so that your children are empowered to learn, however they need to learn. So I hope that answered your question. 420 Dry in the house. How you doing? I was a homeschooler of 5, then private school this year. Parents on the board. Yeah, I have no problem with private schools as long as you are actively engaged in what's going on in the school and you know what they're teaching. Like some private schools teach inappropriate things, so just make sure that you go to a private school that is worthy of your money, and make sure that you know the teachers personally, you get to know them, you know the principal personally, and you let them know how you feel about certain issues, like let's be critical, go have a race and make a theory. Let's be critical, go have a race and make a theory, talking around the algorithm. Or inappropriate, perverted messaging that's taught to children in these schools that if it were brought up to, like some of these images they show children in books in schools, if that was done by anyone else, like if someone pulled up in a white van and showed these images to your child, you would call the police. Well, what do you think? Some of these teachers are better? Just amazing. And I know you guys, I'm in a homeschool chat right now. Like I know you guys get it. I don't know what some people think with these public schools. I live near an Air Force base, so my email just went out. I'm trying to nurture my email list now because I have a pretty big email list. It's if you go to my Classical Learner website, you could join it. So I think I'm going to start writing articles for my website, Pinterest, and sending out emails. So a lot of articles on homeschooling, how to educate your children. I think that's a very powerful thing. And obviously, my private homeschool community, Homeschools Connected. You can find that through my website. Promo code TOGETHER. It's $10 a month. I think it's a great benefit for everyone. You get access to my research. You get access to the community. And if you inbox me and you're in my community, I will answer your questions because your success is my success. Homeschool is easier than we think. Like I said, only an hour a day for little children. Obviously, follow your state regulations. So if your state requires 6 hours of schooling a day, you want to make sure that your documentation indicates you've been doing 6 hours a day. But you have a lot of flexibility, right? You have a lot of flexibility to determine what constitutes schooling hours. So, your children could watch a history documentary. Well, that's an hour of schooling. Your children could be outside with a magnifying glass, and you could tell them, hey, go find different colored items in the backyard, and then after you find them, we'll do an art project. Well, those are all schooling hours, right? Just trying to catch up with your comments here. Marine Princess in the house, what a legend. I really want to homeschool, but my husband is against it. So you could look at a program like Classical Conversations. And the reason I say that is Classical Conversations is structured a little bit more like a formal school in that it gives you all of the materials you need and it has a set schedule. So on Monday, you do math for X amount of time. On Tuesday, you do math for X amount of science for X amount of time. And for Classical Conversations, your children actually go to a formal classroom once a week in which they meet up with other families who are using Classical Conversations, right? They meet up with other families who are using Classical Conversations So they interact with their same age peers or children that might be a few years younger or older than them. And they have a formal teacher. So I think it's a good transition for someone who's not comfortable with homeschooling. I would look into classical conversations. I use an online curriculum that teaches through short videos. What's the name of that curriculum? I'd love to look into it. By the way, if you guys ever have homeschool resources that you love, please let me know, because like this is how I find resources. I interact with so many homeschool families, and like once every other week, one of the families is like, you should check this out. I check it out. I'm like, this is awesome. In fact, yesterday, I think I wrote it down here. You guys told me about 2 really good resources yesterday. The name's eluding me. Shoot. Again, I posted them in my private homeschool community, not trying to put you behind a paywall. I just, preschool, there's a YouTube channel called Preschool. I'll look it up and I'll let you know on the stream tomorrow. And then there's like Lighthouse something. Was like a Christian literature site where they have audiobooks, and like even it's so cool. Like these books, it's not just audiobooks, it's theater. And like they have these actors read these books out kind of like a play style, and children are learning kind of like mythology but based on the Bible. It's really cool for Christian families. I just opened my homeschool for my 14-year-old son this year in North Carolina. What part of North Carolina? What's up, Brady Bean? You got a balloon? How many hours a day is good for my oldest who's doing kindergarten at home? I think if you're doing 2 hours of formal education in kindergarten, you're doing too much. I do like maybe at most an hour a day of like book work if you have to. And then just do a lot of unschooling. Like, so if your child's interested in, like Brady's interested in kites, so we make a lot of kites. Or if your child's interested in cooking, then do a lot of cooking, but with that, like incorporate math. Like you could look up how much the ingredients cost and then keep the numbers under 10, simplify them and be like, these are what we need. This is how much money we have. You could make up the numbers to them. You don't have to give them the real numbers. Keep it under 10, keep it simple. But so you do basic budgeting, basic mathematics, addition, cook the meal. And then after you cook the meal, like there's so much fun stuff you could do with it. You could do marketing campaigns where like they do a bake sale and they put flyers in the neighbor's mailbox, just all types of fun things that you can do. Thanks, Brady. Balloon kite. Marine princess. Homeschool any time of the daytime or learning is a program that does curriculum. We need a job board for homeschool parents.
That's a good idea.
A job board? Let me write that down. I might be able to put that together. I'm constantly building out my private homeschool community. Like, I break it up into categories. So it's like curriculums, then math, science, architecture, engineering, construction. I have all these resources available that people could find to teach children these things. I have television shows to watch. So like I'm always trying to build it out so that you can go like kind of one-stop shop and find whatever you need in terms of homeschooling in my private homeschool community. So what was that? It's job listings for homeschool parents?
Yeah, something that they can do for a couple hours a day to make some extra cash.
It's a great idea. Job listings for homeschool parents. Right, we could use Homeschools Connected to help people make money.
Of course.
I never thought of that. It's brilliant. Okay. Another one of the things I tell homeschool families a lot that wonder about money, there's a company, Young Living. Again, I'm not affiliated with them, but I know a lot of mothers that make money through them. My wife, once upon a time, years ago, used to do Young Living.
Now I just use the oils to make all my stuff.
Right, now you just use the oils for personal use. But Young Living is a great way to make an extra couple $100 a month if you're a homeschool parent. And it's like great for moms because it's very like essential oils and like soaps and shampoos and that type of stuff. So a little social media marketing for Young Living and you can make a good amount of money. Do you like Charlotte Mason? I love Charlotte Mason. It's living history. I mean, if you've read the Cubs to Bears books that I write on free speech, the Second Amendment, you guys get it. The banking system, they're kind of in that Charlotte Mason spirit, that fictional but living history, like fiction based on factual history. So yeah, Charlotte Mason is really just the art of using story to educate your children. There's a math book I love, Life of Fred, for elementary school students. That is great for teaching mathematics through story. It makes math fun. It's interactive. It's engaging. And then Charlotte Mason, they also personal responsibility, which anyone who follows me knows I'm big into personal responsibility. Personal responsibility is a big part of that philosophy. So, like, children are supposed to have chores and do their chores daily and that type of thing. So Charlotte Mason is a really great philosophy. Charlotte Mason was a great person, and there's a lot you can learn from that. Texas in the house. I use My Father's World. I love them, especially for history. For 7 years, my family loves, such a blessing. Yeah, My Father's World is a great curriculum.
Don't mind me.
Books for history, yeah. Oh, Who HQ books for history. I never heard of them. I'll screenshot. Everything else is child-led learning. I love homeschooling my child. It's been a game changer. Absolutely, and God bless you. See, like, in my opinion, the homeschool mother is the modern day Rosie the Riveter, because whereas in the past, the enemies of America, and I know this like is a big concept, like to think that parents could be making such a difference, but I really believe it. In the past, America's enemies allegedly were foreign, right? There are foreign armies who posed a threat to the United States of America. Well, in the modern world, sorry, I live near an Air Force base. In the modern world, the threat is subversive, and it's like the Department of Education is brainwashing, indoctrinating generations of children. And we can combat that through grassroots personal responsibility. So in my opinion, homeschooling your children is your country's call to you. It's the modern day version of Rosie the Riveter. Sent to TikTok universe. I don't know what that is. I got a thing across the screen. Why did my screen get so hard to see all of a sudden?
Maybe it's the sun.
Is it the sun changed? All of a sudden, my screen, sorry guys, my screen got very difficult to see all of a sudden. I'm just gonna move this way. Yep, I think it's a little better. You see, it kind of dulled out.
Yeah.
Whatever. So yeah, I mean, right now, in my opinion, homeschool mothers should be held in the highest esteem in society, because when you homeschool your children, there's a much better chance that my boy, who I love to death, my little girl, who I love to death, and God willing, more children, are going to grow up in a world in which they have more allies. Like, I homeschool my children, and they will be allies to your children. And, like, to me, that's how you... Oh, no, I'm the worst. I'm sorry, Brady. Oh, no, I popped his balloon. Meltdown time. Well, Brady did just give me this, which I thought was really cool. Sorry, Brady. Bad dad. Bad dad. You want to hug it out? Meltdown time. Sorry, Papa Bean. And he's dragged out of there. He had just bought me this, but I popped his balloon, so... Oops. He really likes his balloons. Anyway. My kids each get 1 individual hour at a time, and that's 3 hours a day. We unschool on the farm. The farm, I homestead, so in my opinion, that's the best place to educate your children. let's see these kids compete in elite schools. Yeah, well, homeschool students do better on average than public school students. And like the guys who put together the Human Genome Project, they were homeschooled, right? Like if you track some of the achievements of homeschool students, you'd be amazed at the things they do. Scavenger parks, scavenger hunts at the park, hiking at the gym, Play-Doh art. Okay. My daughter loves your You Are What You Eat book. Thank you. It's my new book, You Are What You Eat. She read it 4 times. She read it for reading time yesterday. Yeah, and I put together You Are What You Eat as a way for parents to really simplify what nutrition and health is for children. Like, children need to understand. Once they understand, and it's actually going to be a 2-part series. So You Are What You Eat is designed to teach that, okay, there's such a thing as soil health. And like bacterias and viruses and fungus break down soil, and that puts nutrients and minerals and vitamins into the soil. And then the plant roots absorb those nutrients, those minerals, and the vitamins. They go through a process of photosynthesis involving the sun, carbon dioxide, and oxygen is released out, sugars are released out. This is where sugars come from, right? Like, and when animals eat the plants, that the minerals and the nutrients and the vitamins, they go into the animals, and then we eat the animals and the plants, and we get nutrition from that, right? So like, it's really to show you are what you eat. There's a cycle to health. And then part 2 that I'm putting together, I haven't written yet, but coming out next year, will introduce children to the concept, because now that they understand what organic is, we're going to introduce them to the concept of pesticides, genetically modified foods, fluorides in water, right? And how these things are unnatural and not good for your health. So I'm creating a framework in an artificial way that mirrors reality, introducing a simple concept so that we could introduce a more complex concept like genetically modified organisms later on. Now, for any of you not familiar with the GMOs, so the way Monsanto's, I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about the big bad beast, but they were spraying Roundup on crops, right? And Roundup is very effective because it gets rid of the bugs, right? It gets rid of the bugs. So all the bugs die. By the way, all of the microbiology in the soil dies, which means the soil is not rich in nutrients and vitamins. That's why when you eat food that's sprayed by pesticides, you're not getting the actual nutrition, and children should understand this. So Monsanto had this operation going on, and one day one of their scientists saw a dumpster, and the dumpster had mold growing on it, but the dumpster was covered in Roundup. So they said, wait a second, what is this? So they studied the mold that Roundup wouldn't kill, and they said, oh, this is great. So they took the genes of that mold and they infused it into bananas of mold, into bananas and apples and all the fruits that you eat. And now when they spray these crops with Roundup, you feeling better? You want to show the people what happened? Show them what happened. I know. Are we going to go to the chiropractor after?
No, I want to make water balloons.
All right. So now these fruits, these vegetables, they don't die when they're sprayed with Roundup, right? But what is that doing to your health? Is that good for you? I would think not. I've got a 4- and 6-year-old I'm homeschooling, totally new. Congratulations. Good morning. Good morning. I completely understand. I joined his community just to message and ask questions. Marine Princess is such a legend.
There was the rest of the other balloon that popped.
I have it right here. You want to see if Mommy could do her magic?
No, Mom doesn't have magic.
Oh. Oh, no, that's it. You got it all? All right. I will be joining the homeschool community, Homeschools Connected, at the end of the month. Recommendations. Yeah, well, when you get into the community, the first thing you want to do is just look over the side menu, because I break everything down by category. So like depending on how old your children are, might depend on what you want to look at. But like for early childhood education, like I love introducing children to construction, right? To some of the STEM stuff like the KiwiCo boxes. I love Art Hub for Children, some of the art programs, Piano K, which is a music program that teaches children piano. So it really just depends what you are looking for. What I do personally is evaluate my child's learning needs every 6 weeks, which is brilliant. Love the job opportunities idea. Yeah, I like that too. Looking at Simple Charlotte Mason. Okay. A Telegram thread would be really helpful. What do you guys think? Should I make a Telegram thread? I could do that. I got to figure out how to do that. I could write that down too. Telegram thread. Like, I like being the facilitator of the community, but the truth is that the community itself is so valuable. All of you have so much accumulated knowledge and resource regarding accumulated knowledge of education and resources just from your experience, from some of the things you've come across, that that's what I try to do with Homeschools Connected. I try to bring it all to one place so that it's easy to find. How many hours should a fifth grader study? At most 2 hours a day, fifth grade. Now, keep in mind, that's formal. They should still be doing like activities out in nature. They should still be doing unschooling. So, like we brought up construction. I worked with a young child, younger than fifth grade, who liked to do construction. So we actually got him books teaching Construction 101 for children, and he wound up making benches. He donated a bench to the local church, and then he put up flyers at the church saying that if you want me to make one of these benches for you, you could contact my mother, right? His mother helped him with this. And, you know, people call the mother, he builds them benches. So, like, unschooling is so powerful, and that's all education. I do have a Telegram. It's Classical Learner. I just don't really know how to use it. Ambleside Online. They provide a book list. I lost it there. Someone was saying Ambleside Online has a good book list. I'm going to take a look into them after this because I'm not familiar. Yeah, so a red line just came across my screen. Someone, I don't know, TikTok Universe. Thank you. My YouTube is Classical Learner. I need to upload these replays. I've been falling behind on that. I'll upload a bunch of them this week. Yeah, I stream every day from 12 to 1. I think I'm really going to keep it to homeschooling because I think we'll get new people and it's very positive. The piano lessons. So yeah, so Piano K is really cool. I really like it for all children over 4. So basically you get them a basic piano, which you could find on Amazon for like $50. And then Piano K is like a book. It's a flip book that you put over the piano. And it has basically songs, but rather than musical notes, it pairs the musical notes with stickers. Oh, you got a new balloon?
No, it's fixed.
Oh, you fixed the balloon. All right, cool. And I like that you put the little string back on it too. Did you want to show the people what you found? Yeah, show them what you found because that is really cool and I think they'll like that, Brady. You got to hold it so what you're looking at is what they're looking at.
Dad, who did you call?
Well, this is Daddy's live stream that I've been doing every day at 12.
No. Who's the people that were on that number?
Oh, well, these are
Your friend?
other mommies and daddies who have other children that they like to learn things with. And Daddy does this live stream every day at 12, and I teach people about education, and I talk about my books, and people buy the books, right? And that's how we make money, right? So I always talk to, and I'm doing this as an example, because I always talk to my son and my children about the things we do for business, because we want to create an entrepreneurial mindset. And there is this culture in America which you don't talk to children about money, which the opposite isn't more appropriate. Like, children need to be involved in money from day one, and you need to constantly be pointing out entrepreneurial things that you do or other people do. So even if we go to the pizza store, whenever I have the chance, I'll be like, hey, are you the owner? And all the time, I'm like, yeah, I'm the owner. And I'll introduce my son, he's 3, and I say, yeah, look, this guy likes making pizza. He loves to cook, and he just bought this shop, and now people come here, and he makes them pizza, and they give him money. And by that, you're creating an entrepreneurial mindset, which is so powerful. So yeah, for Piano K, so you have this, it's like this book, and then you put stickers on the keyboard. So like on the C note, there's a sticker of a cat. On the D note, there's a sticker of a dog. On the E note, there's a sticker of an elephant, and so on. And then as they look up at the booklet, they see a cat next to the musical notes, so they know to push the cat. And it's actually teaching them pre-reading skills before many children even know how to read. So children that use Piano K, they often know how to read music before they know how to read words, which I think is such a crazy concept. It's really, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And also the Prodigy's music program is a great program for young children. I told you, I don't try to put people behind a paywall. And I always tell people that join my community, you're just as much as you're getting value, you're supporting what I do. And I really appreciate that. And I think that adds a lot of, I try to add a lot of positivity to the world, even though I'm not afraid to get after people. And like on my Cubs to Bears channel, I've been trying to keep that on cultural stuff. And like I've been getting after people, but you have to do it sometimes. Like, we need to break down the public school system. I want so many people homeschooling that if they try to go after homeschooling, it's like impossible because there's too much outrage. We are learning how to can food, yes. And my son is building a greenhouse. I love it, I love it, I love it. My son actually helped in the building of a greenhouse we put together a few weeks ago. You guys want to see it? It's not fully done yet, but I don't know if I'll lose connection here. So if I lose connection, I apologize. But my son assisted in putting together a greenhouse over here. It won't look like a greenhouse yet, but it is. So I'm really proud of this. You guys see that? So we built this out, and we got these bins, and the bins are filled with the dirt, and there's rocks on the bottom of them so the water could leak out. And then we're going to be planting this out. We're going to build this whole thing out. I'm going to put big bars and an arch over the whole thing, and then I'm going to drape greenhouse material over the top, and it's going to be a greenhouse. So it's pretty much put together. I just got to put the top on it. And I built it because I'll be moving to my homestead. I built it so I could take it apart into 3, well, a little more than 3, but big pieces. And I'll actually be able to move the greenhouse to the homestead, which is super cool conceptually. See, that's what education is. Like, it's nice to memorize historical stuff, and I have a degree in history. But when your children grow up doing stuff like that, and they could build that type of stuff with their hands, they will always be able to find work. They'll always be able to make money. They won't be reliant on other people. And to me, when we educate our children, the most important thing we can do is obviously morality. And then after morality is educate them to be free and independent so they're not reliant on other people like a corporate boss turned authoritarian, right? Because we've seen that in the last 20 months, right? So like, I always tell people with young children or high school level children, whatever, that skills over subject matter, not that subjects don't matter. we still teach history and English and science, but it's so important that you incorporate the unschooling, use the unschooling to teach cooking, art, music, construction, engineering, computer coding, hair cutting, I don't care, waxing, like esthetician type skills, just any type of skills, plumbing, because it only takes one skill to free a man. And so many people don't have one skill and they feel desperate and they're like, where could I get a job? Where could I do this? And then on top of it, they're in debt because they have a mortgage or college debt. And people are just so desperate because what the system, I don't like to say because of what the system, but because they agree to participate in the system. And again, many of us do that from when we're children, like, right? It's like, it's not quote unquote fair, but life's not fair and we have to take personal responsibility. Like, life kicks you in the nads, but you just gotta say, no matter what happens, I'm gonna have a positive mindset and build. And if you do that, your children will see that and you'll teach your children to live that way and they'll do so good. So just skills over subject matter, skills, skills, skills. Every semester, every 6 months, you have to make sure your children from age 5 on are doing at least one entrepreneurial thing. And that could be very simple stuff. It doesn't have to be overly complex. You know, I did a consultation with this one father who was already growing plants in the garden and putting together like artistic displays. And his child, his little daughter in elementary school, was selling them on Etsy. And he was giving her the money and she was investing the money how she wanted. So like real cool stuff. Oh, hello again. I keep catching these lives by chance. I go live every day at 12 noon. Have you ever heard of Acelius Academy? It's a homeschool program. I have, and I've even read on it, but off the top of my head, I wouldn't be able to tell you a lot about it. I know I've read up on it, and I liked it. But if you asked me to break it down, I wouldn't. Oh, yes, they just emailed me back. There's a Christmas event in my town this week, so I'm hoping they say I'm a go. In the town that I live, they're having a Christmas event, and there's vendors. So I looked up the information, I emailed them, because I figured why not? I was like, hey, I run a homeschool company, and I write children's books. I think I'd be a good vendor at your event on Saturday. So I'm hoping they get back to me and say yes, and it's a reasonable price, because I would love to, set up a shop at the town's Christmas party and promote Cubs to Bears. If I'm not going to do it, who's going to do it? They just emailed me back, so after the stream, I'll see what they said. I'd be really excited if we could do it. Oh, Brady, you made this lemonade? This is delicious.
Yeah, look, the bug flew out.
The bug flew out?
Yeah.
Oh, bring that over here, Brady. Bring that over here. Oh, it's too high up? No, I'm going to grab it. It flew out. Here, come show the people.
I call them the family at this
Look,
point.
it flew out there.
I love it. So what did we do? What did we do with this cup?
We put a bug in.
Say it so they can hear it.
We put a bug in it.
We put a bug in it, right? What kind of bug?
A mosquito.
Was it a mosquito?
Mom, what was it?
I don't know what it was.
It was a bee, right? And we like the bees because they're really...
Was it a snowman bee?
Was it a snow... Oh, you want to show them the snowman?
No. I want... There.
Good job, Brady. Is that the snowman's new home?
You want to come snuggle me?
So yeah, I'd be really excited if I could be a vendor at this event on Saturday. It's been hard grocery shopping when everything contains so much unnecessary chemicals. So one activity I love, if you have children, depending on their level, you'll feel it out. If you have children over 5, and I recommend this once a month, when you go to the grocery store, when you go to the grocery store, once a month, have them pick out a random ingredient on the back of a box, and then go home and Google with them, or DuckDuckGo, right? I got to build culture, better culture, Brett, not Google. DuckDuckGo with them, right? If we don't have to support these institutions, don't. DuckDuckGo with them, the name of the ingredient plus side effects, and start to develop the habit of showing them that some of these processed foods could be very bad for you, right? And you do that once a month, that's 12 times a year. Think about the life lesson they'll learn from that. I like The Good and the Beautiful. It's my favorite curriculum. Trying to go through your comments. I love it. I love when you guys are so interactive, and we're strong as a community. Monsanto owned Agent Orange. Yeah, they're a gross company. What would you suggest for a first-time first grader? Like I said, my favorite program is The Good and the Beautiful. Again, you have to feel out what works for you and your family, but I love that one. I'm in the Carolinas. Welcome, Texas. He has a Homeschools Connected. You could talk to, right, Homeschools Connected. When you join, you get access to my curriculum research, and, if you inbox me on there, you have my full attention. So www.classicallearner.com, promotion code TOGETHER, and it's $10 a month, promotion code TOGETHER. How do I do about learning your homeschooling program? I just answered that. That's awesome. Teaching my daughter to write a book. How old? I love it. One of my favorite activities that I give to families I do consultations with is when they have specifically artsy type children, I suggest that they work toward publishing a book on Amazon KDP. You'd be surprised. It's not as complex as you would think. The toughest part is the formatting that you have to help them with, but outside of that, it's really 10-year-olds could publish books on Amazon KDP, and it teaches them so much. It's like they learn about assets versus liabilities, right? Because that book becomes an asset, because there will be times when they're sleeping and people buy their book, right? And that's like, it's bringing money into their pocket. So it's teaching them different economic things they could do. There's that feeling of accomplishment where, they're a published book author. They could put that on resumes. It's just, there's so much it does for them. It's really an amazing thing. Love that. One skill to free a man. It does take one skill to free a man. As soon as you said esthetician, I'm an esthetician. Yeah, well, those are the type of skills that could free a person, right? Like, my wife, she actually, before we moved from New York, she was running an aesthetics business, right, back in New York. Now, obviously, we couldn't bring her clients here, so we had to drop the business. But my wife could earn a living anywhere at any time because she has good people skills, and she's a talented esthetician. She does waxing, she does eyebrows, she makes people's eyebrows look really beautiful, and she could always earn a living because she has that one skill. Taking away the Second Amendment? I don't think so. Not on my watch. That's why I wrote the right to bear arms. It's why I'm so against people trying to stop homeschooling. Yeah, that's why I'm so big into attacking public school. Like, I want to establish public school now as being the worst thing on the planet, so that when they try to get at homeschool, we could be like, no. Everyone knows public school is the worst thing on the planet. And if we keep doing that, like right now, 2 years ago, there were like 3 or 4 million homeschoolers in America. Now there's 11 million, right? I can't tell you. It's crazy how many people I convert to homeschooling, like daily. It's insane, and it really is crazy. And but it's not because like I'm special. It's because right now it's everyone hates public school, and it's the perfect opportunity. It's to break the camel's back. And once we get enough people, it'll be very hard for them to attack, and the attack is coming. It's coming. So. In some areas in Alaska, you could only homeschool because it's so rural. This lemonade Brady and Nicole made is just... I love it. I bet they put honey in this. Oh, I'm getting bees, guys. I'm getting bees. Once I'm on the homestead, I'm going to get chickens and bees. And again, in terms of schooling your children, think about your children growing up in that environment where we're caring for the animals, we're caring for the bees, making sure they have what they need. We're going, collecting the honey, making original products out of the honey. My wife was even talking about when we get on the homestead, she might want to set up because there's a short, like half an acre of it is on a street. We're thinking about setting up a farm stand and like making products from what we grow. So it's such a great environment for children to learn up, to grow up in, and learn to be independent and free. Because when children grow up in that environment, they're not dependent on a corporate employer. Like a child who grows up on a homestead is like the most capable person you will ever meet, which is why it's what I wanted. Oh, Marine Princess, that video you sent me was great, by the way, about the family in Texas. There's a family in Texas, and remember when the power had gone out in Texas, and all of these people were desperate. Like it was cold. A lot of people had electric stoves, so they couldn't even cook, right? And she's a homesteader she probably had like half an acre of land, but she had everything set up where she was growing a tremendous amount of food. And like, she talked about all these skills she had. Like she knew how to cook food without an electric oven, right? While everyone was struggling and people were literally dying around her, she was fine. And like, that's because that mindset, that's because that lifestyle. And, to me, that's what it's about. Yeah, always talk to your children like adults. I mean, I'm the worst with my daughter because she's so cute. I can't help it. That I'm always like, hi, daddy loves you. But like, I try to catch myself, talk to her like an adult. Majestically awkward. What a legend. Yes, true. Technically, we're being homeschooled too. Majestically awkward. I tried to make you a mod, and you didn't come up. Admin settings, moderators, add, majestic. Huh. I don't know. When I type your name and it doesn't come up. The books are great. Thank you so much. Cubs to Bears, my books. www.classicallearner.com. You'll find the Cubs to Bears books. My wife is back. I loathe it when people baby talk to a 4-year-old and 2-year-old. The baby, I'll allow it though. I try so hard not to do it, but she's 5 months old and she just melts me. Like, she melts me. It's terrible. I was rocking her to sleep a night or two ago, and I was standing there rocking her, and I was like, I love having a 5-month-old. Like, just hugging her little baby body and just rocking her to sleep. There's just nothing better on the planet. I think we have to be friends on TikTok. Oh, I'm not friends with you on TikTok? Sorry about that. I'm not friends with Majestically. Follow. Boom. Now we're friends. I didn't know that. Admin settings. Moderators. Add. There it is. Boom. All right, you're a mod. Baby talk to her now a while. They grow up too fast. Yeah, I mean, it's like, they're so sweet. And like my daughter, she just has a very happy disposition. So like anytime we're in a restaurant or something like that, I always turn around and the people at like the table behind us are like, hi, because she just looks at people and she's like, just smiling. It's the cutest thing on the planet. I got married on a farm. What a legend. But they wouldn't let me take wedding pics? Are books available for international shipping for Greece? I think so. I don't think I've ever had an order from Greece. I have had orders from Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and Japan was my coolest one. People ordered my books from... all of a sudden, like, I got like 20 book orders one day from Japan. I was like, oh shit. I thought it was pretty cool. But never again, just the one time. Yeah, www.classicallearner.com. Milk, cream, snuggles, and love. How do you educate your children? With milk, cream, snuggles, and love. Sounds about right. Oh, you guys are talking about cows? Our long-term goal is to get a cow, but I don't know if we can handle a cow right now. We got to work up to a cow. Cows are utterly useful. I mean, cows are great. I mean, the amount of milk they produce each day, like, you could provide milk not to just yourself, but to all of your neighbors. And, like, think about, like, when I get the chickens, I'm going to constantly just go give my neighbors free eggs. Because think about the community that builds. They're like, wow, look at this guy, this neighbor. He's coming here. He gives us eggs. Like, they're going to want to hang out. They're going to be like, hey, what are you about? I'm like, yeah, come over. Let's get dinner. You know, build community, because community is wealth. Like, when stuff breaks down, you need people around you that you trust, and you need people around you that you can build with. Like, I want to set the culture around my homestead. Like, you know, I'll have a good amount of land, but like the houses around me, a lot of them are just on small plots. So like I could provide them a lot of food. If I do get goats before cows, I'll definitely give them milk, you know. Just build that culture that we take care of each other. Like we're a community, and we shouldn't be isolated from one another. That's what the controllers want. They want us stay not 5, not 7 feet apart from your grandma and everyone else. Like, no, that's not what we need. What we need is people coming together. We don't need division. We need unity in this world. Which is so ironic when they shadow disappear me for when I talk about these issues, when I'm the one who's always promoting unity and the system promotes division. But that's how it goes. It's the beast system for a reason, baby. We're planning on getting a pig in the spring. Wow, it's a big responsibility, a pig. That's awesome. 100% truth. I'm sorry for my corny jokes. I'm originally from Nebraska. Oh, I love it. I love the Cornhusker joke. I'm all about it. I'm like, I embrace dad jokes because I'm a dad. I don't fight what I am. So, let me know if you guys have any more questions. I'm going to head out of here. Promo code Homeschools Connected. On a promo code together for Homeschools Connected. It's $10 a month. www.classicallearner.com. Really cool stuff. I'm Classical Learner on YouTube, Classical Learner on Instagram, Classical Learner on Gab. Everyone should be on Gab. The infrastructure that Andrew Torba is building is really important. So let me tell you what I'm talking about. So as I've faced my shadow disappearing, right, it was harder for me to get my books in front of people. Now, my books are an important part of my business, and my business is an important part of feeding my family, right? So it's like, it's messed up, right? It's messed up what they do to people. And so my response was, one of the things I tried to do was like, all right, I went to Zuckerberg's company, right? Zuckerberg's company, and I tried to do some advertising, and they told me that I couldn't, right? They told me that I couldn't. I'm not going to get into the reasoning because it wouldn't be smart for me to, but they told me that I couldn't on their platform, right? So that was like, man, it's like the censorship is crazy. It's crazy. Well, I did some research. I found out that Gab does allow advertising, and I went on to Gab and I was able to advertise on there, and it was a really cool thing for someone facing that type of ostracization from the beast system and institutions. And what I found out with Andrew Torba and Gab, I knew they were doing good things for free speech, but they're building their own payment processor system. So they're building a system that's not even beholden on MasterCard, Visa, Stripe. Like, they're building an alternative economy for businesses which promote the good, the true, and the beautiful. And we, as people who long to be free, it is so important we support those things. And I am, ever since I saw that, I am full go, a big time supporter of Gab and what Andrew Torba is doing over there. So I couldn't recommend them higher. I'm classical learner on Gab. There are kinks. There are, it doesn't always function perfectly, but that's because they have their own servers and they build on a grassroots level. So to me, it's just, I could live with a service that's not quite as efficient as maybe Twitter. Maybe things take a little longer to load, stuff like that. I could live with that because I know I'm supporting something that's good, and that if we support them in the long run, they'll build out some really good systems. Yeah, Torber's a legend. They've been offered big money for like funding to help build their social media site out. They don't take it. They make all their money through people who choose to subscribe to them, like voluntarily pay them, which I also do, because I voluntarily pay everyone I like Tom Burnett, I send him money. Crow777, I send him money. Owen Benjamin, Unauthorized Media, Vox Day, all of these creators, I send them money, and I send Gab money because I try to support what I believe in. Because if we don't, it goes away. Like, money makes the world go round, unfortunately. But, and through the advertising money he's making from the payment system he's built out. So Torba didn't take that big money, and that's so important because what happens when like the big angel investor comes in, they get leverage over the company, and then it goes from free speech to just being another co-opted company, right? So like Andrew Torba is just, that guy crushes. I really like that guy. I really like Torba. Appreciate your drive, man. Love the younger folks are getting it. Keep it up, brother. Thank you so much. And I appreciate you being here and all your support. And I hope I provide a lot of value to all of you every day, because I try to provide value. And the community itself is value, but I try to bring information and resources and talk about my philosophy as best I can, because the more people have access to this type of stuff, the more empowered they become, and the less isolated people become, which is so important. Yeah, Twitter is just, I was like, my growth on Twitter was pretty significant, and then, not like crazy, but then they went through that purge around November of last year. Remember that purge they did? Some pretty big accounts got deleted. What a crazy world, huh? It's the President of the United States. They're gone. What a crazy world, man. These people, they're power trips. Man. Twitter has utility, but the way I view all these social media companies is they're just tools. So TikTok to me is just a hammer, right? Like YouTube is a hammer, Twitter is a wrench. And I'll use them to get eyeballs, because eyeballs are how I change the world. Eyeballs are how I run my business, right? But companies like Gab or like the Bertaria Times app, these are really good companies. So like, I'll go out of my way to support them and promote them. Like Bertaria Times, the rule on Bertaria Times is don't post anything that's not appropriate for a 5-year-old. So there are no politics or anything. Now you might say, well, that sounds like the censorship of all these other platforms. On one sense, that's true. In another sense, if you understand the bear community, they're all over the internet posting truth on all these other platforms, and they're so banned that we just needed a site that was like the good, true, and the beautiful. And when I say we, it's not mine. I consider myself like a member of their community. I love it. So Bertaria Times app, Gab, good stuff. So all right, guys, this has been a lot of fun. I'll be back like I am every day. Brett, you gotta nail the line. I got a catchphrase now. I gotta nail it. All right, guys, this has been a lot of fun. Freedom isn't free. We have to earn it every day. So I'll be back tomorrow at 12 noon to earn it. I got it. Oh, and by the way, Nicole is putting together clothing stuff, which I'm really excited about. So she's been working behind the scenes on that, and I'm very excited about that. So, Freedom Clothing.